about to get serious up in here. I'm going to walk you through how to navigate the industry now, how to get started, what you need to have, the mindset shifts that you need to make, and what you need to avoid that everyone tells you you should do if you want to start a career in musical theater. Because again, like I just said, they don't know if they're not doing it right now. Maybe you went to college, maybe you trained in high school, maybe you are a bit younger and you're watching this video and you're like, I want to know what to do so that when I get to that point, I'm ready. Or maybe you're a parent watching this and you're trying to understand how the industry functions now so that you can give your children that information, whatever the reason may be. I don't ever say you need to start with training because you're not dumb. You know you have to have training in this industry. You know you have to have some talent, whatever that means to you. You know you need to understand the functions of singing, dancing, acting, maybe musician, maybe acro. There are so many elements in musical theater now. It is not just being a triple threat. Can we let go of that idea for a second? It is not just about training to be a triple threat. Not at all. There are roles and shows and work and projects and stories out there where you don't have to kick your face and drop split. There are those roles out there though, absolutely 100%. There are also roles out there that are more acting driven, that do sing, but it is not the most important way of telling that story. There are so many different ways to present musical theater on stage. So the idea that we have to be this triple threat is incorrect, 100%. So don't listen to that. We just need to focus on making sure, first off, that you have an understanding that you are going to have the skills necessary to enter into this industry feeling confident, feeling like you know how to tell a story from your vantage point, that you have an understanding of movement on stage, that you feel comfortable somewhat on stage. And the reason why I'm not saying right now, go take a dance class, go take a singing class, is because every human being is different in this industry. And you may not, need to go take a dance class because you're like, I would never go into a dance audition. Okay. Should you take classes to still feel good in your body and to connect to your body? Like, sure. But let's be 100% honest. It is not the early 2000s anymore where dance classes were like $10 a class. Same thing with voice lessons. It's not where we can pay $50 for a voice lesson. It's not even where I could say, go get a college degree and then you'll have at least the basic skills. That is so expensive now. So I just want to start out by saying, having some type of understanding of training and your skills, your strengths, that is just the first way to get started in this industry in musical theater. The next step to starting a career in musical theater is to have an idea, at least somewhat, and envision the roles you want to play, the stories you want to tell, and the type of work you want to do right now. And what I mean is, where do you fit in to the industry without boxing or typing yourself in? I cannot tell you how many times I have conversations with people who are starting out in the industry or coming back into the industry, and they say, oh, this is my type. Nope. That's the conversation we need to unpack right now before we move forward. Okay, we don't need to worry about your type because there is no more archetypal characters in musical theater being written the way they were back in the 1940s and 1950s and 1960s. Is there still structure to that? Yes. But we can't continue to put ourselves into a type of, oh, I'm the silly best friend. What does that even mean anymore in this industry? Or, oh, I'm the friend that's the sassy best friend and then I do the dance part. And no. So have an understanding of just where you fit in the world of musical theater today. Meaning, do you love to do showstopper, spectacle shows that have tap dance and a lot of dance in it? Do you love Moulin Rouge? Do you love musicals that have a lot of hip hop dance in it? Urban dance in it? What's your jam? What is your jam? What shows do you see? Because I mean, come on, let's be honest. You're starting, but you have an understanding of musical theater, or you wouldn't be watching this video in the first place, right? What musicals do you see that you're like, oh, I'd want to be in that? Or, oh, I would love to play that role. Or I would love to be in that ensemble of that show. Like, that would be my jam. What shows are those for you? I would sit down and I would write those down. Free of judgment, free of, are you the right age? Are you the right look? Are you just free of any of that right now in a confidential, judgmental free sheet of paper. Okay. Write those down. What shows, what roles, what stories really just make you excited in this industry? And then after you do that, go through and start to look, because some of them may not be roles, right? Some of them may be ensemble. Go through and look at those projects and see if there's anything that is similar. Is it a similar style? Is it a similar, composer and lyricist team and creative team? Is there a similar kind of thread of storyline, of themes in the show? Is there something that you can look at and in general, not every single one, but in general, you see that you really are attracted and drawn to these types of shows, right? These projects, this way of storytelling and art being done on stage. And then on the flip side of that as well, are there shows that you're looking at that are not on your list, that you know about, that are not on your list? Like, there are shows that they don't make me excited, and most of the time it's probably because I don't see myself in them. I don't see myself maybe directing them, but my focus is being a performer right now. I was a director for a while and a college professor for almost a decade. And so when I would look at musicals, they'd be very different. But I'm asking you to look at them from a perspective of what musicals excite you that you would want to be a part of. That list and then that analysis is going to be very beneficial. Because if you're looking at that list and you're like, there is nothing on this list that is country, okay, then you're probably not going to go out for country folk musicals because it doesn't speak to you, at least not right now. And that can shift and change. That's the one thing that people forget when you're starting in this career from whatever age you are. It doesn't matter. I work with people all the time from, 18, 19, 20, right out of undergrad, 21, 22, 23, and then people all the way up into their 80s in all aspects of this industry, coming back into it or jumping into it, whatever it may be. But I want you to really think about what serves you right now, because that's what we want to lean in on, and that is what's going to lead us to the next step. So the next step here is to take the idea of that list, both the side of what shows, what common threads do you see, what common style do you see, what common storytelling do you see, and then what do you not see? And then to say to yourself, okay, so I'm going to have to do auditions, right? That's our step, right? That's getting us from just having this thought process of kind of where do I want to fit in the industry right now? What stories do I want to tell? What shows would I want to be interested in auditioning for? To actually getting in that thing, which is auditioning. That is the biggest link that is done differently right now, this year, this time period, post 2020, than it ever was before. Ever. And no one understands it until you're doing it. So we need to get from thinking about this to being in those shows, right? That's the career. The career is auditioning. Like 99.9% of your career is auditioning. It's not rejection, it's opportunity. Okay, if I could give you that big piece of advice in this moment, because we're about to dive into auditioning and it's going to be really vulnerable and frustrating and overwhelming probably to you, and that's okay. But I want you to keep in mind that you're in control, that it's very different than it was in the past. It's more accessible in a way, and you don't have to live in New York City or LA or Chicago or anywhere that someone has told you to have a career in this industry. Is it beneficial? Yeah, sure, absolutely, especially in New York, especially here on the East Coast. But you don't have to live there. So let's talk about auditions now and how they function now versus how they did pre-2020. Most people would say at this moment in this conversation, you need a headshot, a resume, dance shoes, audition attire, and to know where the auditions are, right? And an audition book, okay, right? Your book, your rep book is not like that anymore, okay? I mean, do you need a headshot and resume and print? Like, yeah, you do. You need some, but not like it was in the day. What you need right now to start a career in musical theater for auditions is an online presence. You need casting profiles. You need reels. You need clips. You need self-tapes. You need video footage of you doing what you do. You need to understand how to do self-tape callbacks. You need to understand how to submit online. You need digital headshots and you need a digital resume. You also need to understand that we're going to be submitting 10 times more than you ever would showing up in person at auditions, because everything has shifted online now in this industry. Love it, hate it, it doesn't matter. It's just the way that it is. I don't care if you're union or non-union. It's for both sides of the coin now. And understanding how to navigate actor profiles, casting profiles, and if you have an agent, how that works online. Navigating that is your big ticket to starting a career in 2024, 2025, 2026, and beyond, because it is not going back to in-person open calls for every single show. So yes, are there open calls for EPAs, ECCs if you're in the union? If you're not in the union and you don't know what that means, equity principal audition, equity course call for shows that are union, even if they hire non-union folks. But what you need to understand is the basic materials first off to prepare when you're starting in this industry. Your basic materials are still a headshot and a resume. The next thing is you need digital clips and reels of you doing what you do, because you're going to be submitting online. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to save every single video clip of you that you ever have in your life, to film everything and to save it for you in case you need it. Because I cannot tell you how many times I have clients that are like, I got a call back for this show and they want me to submit a song like this, and I have this self-tape that I made for myself during one of our challenges, and I don't have to film anything because I can just submit that. I already have something ready. You're going to save time, you're going to save energy, but you need tapes. So you need reels and clips, right? You're going to put them on your acting profiles, your casting profiles. You're going to use them to submit. You're going to put them on YouTube. You're going to put them on website. A lot of the online presence things that are kind of overwhelming, but this is crash course here. You need that to audition now in this current time period. And you won't believe me until you're like, oh, I believe you now because I'm doing the thing. But you do, you need them. So you need self-tapes, performance footage of you doing what you do. That's it. Okay. It doesn't need to be everything. So we're really replacing that audition book. And I'm going to get to the audition book here because we still do need it, but it's in a smaller amount. Okay. You need a digital kind of audition book, which means there's no specific number. If you were to ask me a specific number, I would say at least one main reel, musical theater reel. It can either be performance clips or self-tapes. Self-tapes are 1,000% acceptable now. It doesn't have to be really crappy performance footage. And I would encourage you not to use crappy performance footage. Create really good reels instead. I'm sorry, not reels. Create really good self-tapes instead. But start off with one reel, just a musical theater performance reel. That's less than 2 minutes. And again, there's a video down below if you want to watch it. I describe how to do this in full detail. Of you doing what you do. That's it, right? And if you're going to do clips as well, save everything. Clips that are, less than 45 seconds of your audition cuts. So instead of having it in your book, 16 to 32 bars, you would have a self-tape of it, okay? But what we're really talking about is having clips of you and reels of you doing what you do. I would start out with one main musical theater reel, less than 2 minutes. If you are a dancer, like kick your face dancer, and that's your jam, and those are on your list that you started out with a while ago, then I would have a dance reel for sure, especially if you're doing cruise ships, especially if you're wanting to do tours with a lot of dance company in them. Anything that's going to be just like very dance heavy, you want a dance clip, a dance reel. I have a client recently that put together her dance reel, and then she's being called back for cruise ships left and right, and she never thought it would be happening. And she's like, I'm auditioning again here in New York City for another callback from a cruise ship. I never thought this would be possible. I didn't even go to college for musical theater. What's happening? You don't know until you know. Okay? So reels and clips, that's where I would start. The next thing you do need is you do still need some type of audition book in person. Now, depending on where you are located, you may have more in-person auditions. I have some clients that live in what I would call bubble cities. So the Bay Area is one, Chicago is one, Boston is one. There are other areas throughout the country. I think Utah really kind of still is one, but really there are other parts of the country that you might be located in right now that they're really still kind of what we'd call traditional, which is showing up for open calls. They don't do a lot of online, but even now, a lot of these smaller theaters are switching to online because it takes them less money, less time, less energy, less people power to kind of get all that up, because you can just submit a tape and they can do a trim from there. So you'll have to learn how to navigate that. But the point is that you still want to have some type of audition book, right? I'll put that link down below for the details of it, but you need an audition book, which I like to say it's 4 to 6 songs, 16 to 32 bar cuts, and the sheet music printed, and something from everything that you would go in for. So go back to your list that you started out with at the beginning of this conversation. This is like a full-on coaching session here. And if your list has something like musicals that are pop, right? Like Six the musical, or some rock, Jagged Little Pill the musical, and you're seeing kind of a theme of that sprinkled in, then you need a song that's pop, that's rock, that you could kind of bend for all of those types of shows. Right? It may be more bubblegum pop if we're talking about like, Mean Girls, but it may be a little bit more like 60s, 70s, maybe like Cher the musical. It may lean towards that decade, but something that at least is in the realm, one song that you love that sounds really good, that fits different chunks of those musicals. If you're looking at musicals that are more country, Bright Star, Spitfire Grill, very rare, very not done, but a great musical. But if you're looking at musicals that have this country flair to it, then you need a country song, and maybe a song not from a show. Same thing with pop and rock. You might need a radio tune, because the musicals that are pop and rock on in the world that we live in now don't want you to sing from a musical. So that may be something that you need as well, on tape too. And whatever you have in your book, I would have on tape, 100,000%. Okay. Whatever's in your book needs to be on tape. And then on tape, what's great is that you can do other songs that maybe you couldn't take in person. Like I have a client right now that put a bunch of Sondheim songs on tape, because you really can't take that into a room unless you're going in for a Sondheim musical. And put some stuff on tape, and then started getting callbacks for those types of shows, for Sondheim shows. Also, if you're wanting to do shows that are very rock, punk, funk, heavy, that it's hard to play that in the room, a lot of those are going to be tapes first. So get a track off of YouTube or Piano Tracks. That's the company that I use to download some my background tracks, but you can get them on YouTube for free, karaoke tracks, and then you can sing them and send them in as a tape. And that's going to be like 75% of the way that we audition now. Okay. So digital audition book, and we also need that regular print audition book that sounds great with a piano, that you have 4 to 6 songs that kind of can be you can bend for different types of musicals. We do not want to be filming a new self-tape or finding a new song and coaching it for every single audition now. It's very different than it was pre-2020. And here is why. You do not want to be coaching or filming a new tape for a submission every single week. I had a client that told me they were making a new tape for every single submission. First off, you're going to waste so much money on your casting profiles, especially Actors Access. Secondly, you're going to be wasting so much time, because then when you get callbacks, especially through EcoCast and through Actors Access, and they're wanting more material from the show, you're never going to have enough time to get all of that done and do everything else we need to do in this career, which is work and make money when you're not making money as a performer and living your life. You're just going to waste energy. And then the third part of that is you're going to waste opportunities, because you're going to wait until, I saw on Actors Access that there's an audition for, Beauty and the Beast. Well, I don't have anything from Beauty and the Beast. I don't have anything it doesn't matter. Just send what you already have. Send the closest thing that you have to that. That's all they want. They just want to have a first cut, a first trim, a first opportunity to see you and say, great, yeah, now we want you to do this stuff for the show. That is another major shift that has happened since pre-2020. Huge. And it takes a long time to shift your mind, but they don't need you to have a new fancy song that's perfect for the show, that's rare, that's unknown. We don't need that anymore. I would say a curse word with it right now, but I don't think it's appropriate for everybody in the world, but we don't need that anymore. We just need tapes of you doing what you do really well right now, so people can say, yeah, absolutely, let's call them back for this ensemble role, have them sing this. Let's call them back for this lead role, let's have them sing this. Okay? Moving on, the next thing that you need to start a career in musical theater right now, very different than it was pre-2020, is you need to be on casting profiles. So we are talking Actors Access, number one, first foremost. Trust me, I know she looks old as you know what, but trust me. Broadway, union, non-union national tours. Please stop just going to Playbill. Please go to Actors Access first. Just trust me on this, okay? Next up is Backstage, all right? So you need to set a profile up on Backstage if you're a non-union, okay? If you're union, you probably don't really need it, I would say. I don't really submit on Backstage, but I have so many clients that book work on Backstage. I have clients that actually have booked some union work on Backstage. It's very rare, but it does happen. So don't snooze on her. Backstage there's a lot of opportunities on Backstage as well. I actually book voiceover work and UGC work on Backstage as well. So there's so much to be had, but Backstage would be your second one, your second option, especially if you're non-union, or if you want to kind of test out other types of acting jobs or singing jobs. Theme parks, amusement parks, we see a lot of those on Backstage. I have tons of clients that book that type of work on Backstage as well. So you need to build out your casting profiles on both of those platforms. Really, it's in priority of Actors Access, then Backstage second, but there's a lot of other factors that go into it. And then the other side of that is looking online at the casting platforms. So yes, Playbill, of course. If you are union, the union website, of course, because you have access to all of it. You also have access as a union member now to submit with a video for an open call, which is really kind of cool, depending on the show and if they are allowing that. But you can also just find out more information on the equity website, and if you're a union member. So it's understanding how to access those platforms and online casting submissions, because a lot of these shows do not even hold open calls, especially if they are non-union. They don't hold open calls. I have had clients book work and never show up in person. All of the callbacks have been done via tapes or via done Zoom auditions and callbacks. So you don't know till you know, but now I'm telling you so that you know. So casting profiles, you need to be on them. You need to navigate them. You need to build them out. It's extremely important. And it can't just be, here's my headshot, and then you put in your resume. Okay, it can't be that. You need media clips on there when you're submitting, okay? Okay, now you know. And the next step to starting a career in musical theater right now is to click submit. Literally click submit. You're gonna have to understand that submitting online in the places that you want to be seen is so important, whether it's New York, whether it's LA. If you are in another region of the country, you're going to have to figure out where the auditions are happening, and you're going to have to figure out where the theaters are, and to jump that line to say, okay, now I know how to show up, where they want me to audition, how to navigate this. That is like number one. Number one is the audition process now, because it's very different from city to city, and it's also very different than it was pre-2020, okay? So auditions, but that really gives you an idea of how to navigate it, especially those of you that are moving to New York and you're starting your career, you're graduating college, and you're like, I'm going to New York. I see this all the time. I'm in New York, I'm here. It's very different than when I went to New York. When I first went to New York, I would go down to the newspaper station and get backstage in print and look at everything and circle it, and then just show up to the auditions and, wait a really long time, but get seen most all the time. It's not like that anymore. A lot of these theaters, especially non-union theaters, are not even holding open calls because they don't have to. If it's a union theater or you're talking Broadway, they are required to do EPAs or ECCs still in person majority of the time. But it's not necessary to go in person. If you want to, because you never know, yes. If you're a dancer and you want to go to the open dance call, or you want to sign up for a union appointment and go to the dance call, yeah. Like, it's a free class. Yes, you should. But there's no longer this need to understand. There's no longer this need to show up in person is my kind of idea here for you. The next thing you really need to understand to start a career in musical theater is you need to navigate the online presence of this. Do you have to have a million bazillion TikTok followers? No, you do not have to have that. But you should have some type of presence so that when people look you up online, you're visible. Visibility, not views. That's our focus here, okay? Visibility, not views. So have a presence that feels comfortable to you. Doesn't have to be constantly updated. I recently, if you go to my Instagram, I recently just like sliced and diced it and archived it and started fresh, because I needed that for me personally. Where I was right now in my life, I needed to just kind of have a fresh slate. So when people showed up to my Instagram, they saw the things that I wanted them to see right now versus everything else that I had on there, the past, 5 years of my lifetime. And you can change a lot in 5 years. And I just didn't want people to show up and see that part of me a couple of years ago. So you can shift that and you can update it, but have a presence, have basic profiles, even if they're just professional looking ones. You do need a website. I will say that now. Is it required? No, but you do. You really need a website now. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. You just need to hold your space and your real estate in the online world. And once you start doing it, not only is it for other people, but it's a way for you to build your confidence in the long run as a performer. And that is what you need right now that we never needed before, is online real estate. So when people look at you, when they Google you, you show up in a way that feels authentic to you, that communicates the work that you want to do, how you want to be seen, and gives them a way to instantly know, like, and trust you, so that they want to call you back or that they want to work with you. And then the last part I really want to share with you about starting a career in this industry right now that was very different than it was before, and again, you don't know until you know, is navigating the anxiety and the depression around all of the online stuff that I've been talking about now. You're going to send out thousands of submissions. Whether it's, you're on playbill.com and you're submitting on the Google Forms for the most recent non-union national tour of Mean Girls for the Replacements. I saw all your videos on YouTube. Okay, my algorithm picked them up, right? And you spend all the time and you create the tapes just for that audition and you submit it into the big black hole and nothing ever comes back. That is what casting profiles feel like. That is what, even if you have an agent and you're being submitted and you don't know because your agent doesn't tell you every single submission, right? And nothing is coming back. You don't get the validation that we got pre-2020, which was the validation of I showed up, I connected with somebody, I communicated with them, they saw my performance, or they at least heard it while they were eating their lunch in person. I did that today. You don't get that anymore. You get click submit. That's it. Maybe you get a response. Maybe you get a call back. Maybe you get a request for materials. Maybe you get a pre-screening something, or a thank you, submission received. But that is what we have to really talk about navigating, is the idea that it can be lonely now because you're just submitting into air. It feels like that. But trust me when I say that it's like showing up to open call. It's just going to feel very, very different. Is every tape that you ever send out going to be watched? No. If you're sending tapes via YouTube and you're looking at that ticker count and that count go by, please do not do that. Okay. I do YouTube here. Sometimes if they only watch a certain amount of it, it's not going to even tick it over past 1. So please stop looking at the ticks. Stop looking at the views. All right. That will not help you in the long run. And that's why you need to be on casting profiles, because it's not YouTube links. Your videos in Actors Access and Backstage are just embedded, and you're using those videos to submit, or your agent is using those videos to submit. But starting out in this career now, you have to understand that it's going to feel very lonely. I have so many clients that I work with that say, I've been at this for months now, and I'm a loser, I'm a failure. No, you're not. This takes a lot of time and energy and investment in many different forms. And sometimes it may not happen instantaneously, and it's not going to feel good to you because, again, you're not there in person. You're just sending off tapes all the time. That's what we do. But trust me when I say that if you put in the work, when the right time and the right show and the right role and the right team comes along, it will come back to you. But it can't be about the audition. It can't be about booking the job, because if it is, and that is what you are using as validation, it's going to be a long road in this industry. Okay? It's about opportunity. And it's about saying to yourself, I don't know who's going to see this video, but I did the best that I could today, and that's what it's going to be. And it's about you clicking submit and seeing what happens. And I can't tell you how many times I have clients that are like, Ashley, fine, I just click submit. I did what you said. We worked together. We did my videos and my reels aren't perfect, but like you said, done is better than perfect. And then you started clicking submit. And I have clients all the time that come back and they're like, they show up to class. They're like, I just got my first eco cast. I'm sorry. What is going on? I don't even know what do I do now? And then we walk through it. Or I got my first offer, or I got an agent. You don't know until you start clicking submit, until you start taking the time to understand and say, it is not like it was before. Love it, hate it, it's indifferent, but these are the elements that you need to focus on. That is how you start a career in this industry right now. Auditioning, submitting, learning as you go, training as you go, and training can be on the job. Training can be you're filming a self-tape with a new song and a new audition cut that's in your book, and now you're making a tape. That is training as well. Training is going to the callbacks in person, navigating that, learning dance combos. That is training as well. So that's why I said at the very beginning of the conversation a long time ago, it is subjective, because it is subjective. And last yet certainly not least is this conversation I wanted to have with you around a mindset of not living your life and your career the way someone expects you to. People in this life, in this industry, are going to tell you that your career should look a certain way or cannot look a certain way. And that is baloney. Your career can look however you want it to look. 100%. If I had listened to someone who told me a long time ago what my career would and wouldn't look like, I would not be where I am today, okay? So don't listen to other people. Take in that information, sure, absolutely, and then you have to decide what's right for you, and you have to make mistakes, and you have to take risks, and you have to learn from your failures, because it's better to go that route than to live a life that feels like a lie, or to live a life that doesn't give you fulfillment and joy, and that you don't feel in control of. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop them down below. I can't wait for you to start your career no matter where you are in your life as a musical theater performer, and join us in this wonderful industry that has shifted over time, but that is still something that we hold near and dear to our heart. It's not easy, but again, you can handle hard things. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.